Hello and welcome back to Jenna Gets Creative. Today we're doing another No Box Art Box. I always go through the actual rules like immediately after these intros, so I'm going to keep it short this time. No Box Art Box number 6. I hope you like it. I hope you'll stick around. Let's get into it. Alright, it's the No Box Art Box. What's the No Box Art Box? Well, the No Box Art Box is a challenge where you pick a past box, any box you like, as long as it's already gone out. Could be an art box, could be a craft box. If you want to do a completely different type of box, sure, you figure it out. Once you've picked your box, you match the supplies that came in it as close as you can using the products you already own. And it doesn't count if it's something you actually got in the box. So if I actually got the box that I'm going to recreate and I didn't already own the item or whatever, then I can't use it. I have to match it with something else. But other than that, just fair game, anything goes. Match it as close as you can, just don't cheat and actually use the box. And step number 3, do the challenge. If the box had a prompt or any other specific challenge, that is your challenge. Otherwise, your challenge is simply make art using the items you have picked out to match the box. This round, we are replicating the ArtSnacks box from last year this month, August 2018. Exactly a year ago. What was in it? Well, it had the, I'm gonna butcher this, Kuretake Ninhon Date Kabara Food Brush Pen number 55. Alright, so that is just a black ink brush pen that has 2 ends. One end is a fairly large brush nib, and the other end is, it looks like it's about the same as the Micron PN. There were 2 packs of Daler-Rowney Aquafine watercolor half pan twin sets. So those are just the little cards you can buy from Daler-Rowney. They're blister packs. They have 2 half pans in them, and they'll be 2 shades of the same color, 2 yellows, 2 blues, 2 reds, whatever. The official box they keep advertising, the only box I've actually seen anybody do, had ultramarine light, ultramarine deep, cadmium yellow, deep hue, and gamboge yellow. It does say on the website where you could buy that past box if you wanted to that colors may vary, and typically with ArtSnacks they do, but like I said, all the people I've seen do this actual box, anywhere I've seen it listed, it's always those 4 colors. So that's what we're going with. A Robert Simmons watercolor brush in round size 1. ArtSnacks Edition Dixon Ticonderoga number 2 pencil. So that is just your standard HB lead pencil with an eraser on the end. Yeah. And L'Aquarelle Canson Heritage watercolor paper. So that's going to be a cold press paper. It's going to be 300 GSM and fairly high quality. So, what am I using to replicate this box? For that Kuretake pen, I have the generic no-name dual-ended brush pen that you can find on Wish. I know at least one other art YouTuber has used and reviewed this. I believe it was Chloe Rose. Correct me if I'm wrong. So this has, like I said, the fairly large brush nib on one end, and the basically Micron PN nib on the other end. And there's a cat here. For the watercolor pans, I took some pans out of my Winsor Newton cotton set. We have Intense Blue, Ultramarine, Lemon Yellow, and this one's rubbed off, but I know this was a cadmium yellow. So pretty close. Like I said, those were ultramarines, light and deep. So we have one ultramarine and we have intense blue. And then we do have a cad yellow. And instead of gamboge, we're going to use lemon. That's nowhere near the same shade, but it has to be fairly different from this. And most of my yellows are cad or lemon, so yeah. The Robert Simmons brush, I do have one round size 1, but it's really not a very good brand. I usually just use it for mixing my paint. So I'm actually going to go with a script brush. This is a Princeton Neptune script in size 1, which is technically round, it's just longer because it's a script brush. For that number 2 pencil, I looked. I don't actually have any Ticonderoga pencils on me, which is surprising. So I'm going to use the Caran d'Ache Edelweiss pencil in HB. That's the same thing, basically. HB lead, standard pencil, and this has a generic white eraser on the end because the Edelweiss pencils don't. And am I missing anything? Oh yes, the watercolor paper. Surprise, surprise, I am not going to use my B paper. I am going to try out the Pentalic watercolor wirebound field book. So this is 300 GSM 140-pound cold press acid-free watercolor paper in a coil-bound sketchbook. So yeah, that's interesting. This is a fair size. I think I'm going to tape it off and do some swatching and some playing around and then a piece, because any paper that came in those tiny little ArtSnacks boxes wasn't very big anyway. But here we go. This is what I've got to create art with, and let's go have some fun. I'll talk about the piece I'm doing in just a sec, but first I'm going to challenge some more fellow art YouTubers. Absolutely everyone is welcome to do this challenge, of course, but last month I specifically challenged 7 other YouTubers to do it, and so far I haven't seen any of them try it. But I'm stubborn, so I think I'm actually going to make this a regular part of my noboxartbox videos and challenge a handful of YouTube artists and crafters I enjoy watching until we've really shared this challenge around and made it a thing. I admit last month's challenges to those 7 was probably poorly timed because of VidCon, so I'll definitely cycle back and challenge all of those creators again, but today I've got a new list. If you do the noboxartbox challenge, be sure to use the hashtag noboxartbox, all one word, and tag me or drop a link in the comments on one of my noboxartbox videos so I can check it out. This round I am specifically challenging the following YouTube artists and crafters to attempt the noboxartbox challenge: Nerdy Crafter, Applemint, Mariah Elizabeth, Mira Byler, Lollybee Art, ZHC, and Hello Alice. Again, the noboxartbox challenge is simply recreating a past art or craft subscription box without buying anything new specifically for the challenge or actually using that box. Use the hashtag noboxartbox and tag me if you attempt it so I can see your work, and let me know in the comments down below if there's a specific past box you'd like me to try in a future installment. I upload every Tuesday and Thursday at minimum here on my channel. Some weeks I have bonuses, and one of those videos each and every month is the noboxartbox challenge. If you're into art subscription box videos, I do also do Scrawlrbox every month. I recently got the Jazzy Art Box, and I will be doing some more videos to get through the rest of those supplies, and I do randomly buy boxes from other subscription companies here and there when they successfully entice me to come back for another month. So if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell for notifications, and if you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button and leave a comment down below. I really appreciate it. I love reading your comments, and I reply to everyone. So for this piece, I decided to do a bird portrait, and given the limited color palette, I thought it might be interesting to try a kingfisher. In the last year or so, as I've been trying to branch out and draw and paint things I wasn't typically interested in drawing before, I discovered photos of brilliant blue and orange birds that I soon learned were called kingfishers, but that's all I knew. In preparation for recording a voiceover to go with this portion of the video, I did a little quick research, and I was surprised to find that kingfisher is actually a family of bird species, and according to the population map on the Wikipedia article, there should be some form of kingfisher native to the lower regions of Canada that I may have seen and not even known it. Apparently, these pretty blue and orange or yellow birds are the common kingfisher, or Eurasian kingfisher. The second name certainly explains why I never knew about them before, since I'm certainly not in Europe or Asia. Over here in the Americas, the species that comes this far north is the belted kingfisher, and with the exception of a tiny bit of BC's southern coastline, it looks like Canada is really only breeding season territory for these birds. They're a water species, and they were featured on the 1986 series artwork for the Canadian $5 note. I do remember that bill, since that's what was in circulation when I was a little kid, but I always figured it was a loon. Go figure. I also found out in my research on kingfishers that another member of the species family I didn't know was a kingfisher is the kookaburra. Neither the belted kingfisher nor the kookaburra are nearly as brightly colored as the Eurasian kingfisher I'm painting here, so I'm not surprised in hindsight that this isn't a family I was fascinated with as a child. The species I knew about didn't stick out. Growing up, I liked robins and stellar jays, and I loved seeing pictures of cardinals. I remember being quite disappointed when I found out that only the males of both robins and cardinals had very much of the beautiful bright reds at all. I liked them because of the red. It's my favorite color. As for stellar jays, if you're not familiar, they're the bluebirds of the jay family we're used to seeing in Western Canada, where I grew up. Unlike their eastern cousins, the actual blue jay, stellar jays are a solid gradient of blue in the body, fading to black on the head, either without any white markings at all, or just a little eyebrow-type patches of white. Going back to the kookaburra, that reminded me, a classmate of mine in high school had the surname Kuwabara, and one of the teachers in our school really struggled with her name. He quickly gave up and just said kookaburra every time. This is the same teacher who really thoroughly was confused by surnames that could be first names. There was a pair of twin brothers in my year whose last name was hyphenated, and both parts were first names. This isn't their names, but for example, let's say their first names were Jim and John, and their last name was Keegan Riley. This teacher would get so mixed up, he would just start looping. Jim Riley Keegan, Keegan Riley Jim, Riley Jim Keegan, Jim Keegan John. It probably didn't help that the twins went by their middle names, which started with the same first letter, but their first names were completely different. The names they went by in high school were as matchy-matchy as my examples, Jim and John, but their first names, which they didn't use, were as different as, say, Marcus and Stanley. And if you're wondering why I'm being so cryptic and not using their real first names, they both did end up letting college professors use their actual first names. One is no longer living now, and the other prefers only half of his hyphenated surname, so I'll just respect their privacy and not use their real names at all. Anyway, that got off track. As I mentioned when I was picking my supplies, I've been doing this piece in a watercolor sketchbook from Pentalic. I love Pentalic Traveler sketchbooks, but this is my first time trying any of their specialty papers, and I do really like this. I clamped the book together tightly overnight after I was done filming, and there's very little distortion left to the page. I didn't do any sort of prep work with the paper beforehand in terms of stretching, and I didn't tape it down to anything along the edges, so I'm quite happy with how relatively flat the page is now. I did mask off the edges with washi tape, and it peeled off beautifully with no damage to the paper. I like the fact that this is coil bound, so it does fold all the way over. It doesn't have to take up a double wood space on your desk. I think because of that, though, I definitely won't be using the backs of the pages, because at some point they'll all be what the book is resting on as I work. So I hope you enjoyed this month's No Box Art Box video. Let me know if you try the challenge yourself. It doesn't have to be the box I did today. It can be any past box from any subscription company. And also feel free to leave suggestions for other boxes I could try to replicate in future No Box Art Box videos in the comments down below. I'm going camping this weekend, so definitely no new bonuses between now and Tuesday. See you then.